And what is up, guys? Technicals Tinkers here, checking in on our little 3D print operation for the day. If you're new to the channel, uninitiated or unfamiliar, I do 3D printing here at home, stuff to improve my life, fix stuff around the house, improve stuff around the house, sell for money sometimes, not really, or just generally show off, have a good time. If you're interested in any of those things, be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of different stuff going on today. Doing a lot of projects that are supported heavily by 3D printing. Enough sufficient to, I think I may do some videos on those projects. I really wanted to highlight those here on the vlog. But before we get into that, you know, what's going on in the regular print land, because we're coming off this long stretch, this long sort of story arc with the Bluestorm Giga. And last episode I was talking about, oh, it's almost Halloween. I want to capitalize on the Halloween views and do that pumpkin. So I showed that miniature, the small version of it, and I wanted to do the first proper print on the Giga. You might have noticed. I got about half a pumpkin. What's up? All right, and so this failed. I like to do the plate pulls live. It started failing and I just killed the print, and it was because a support came off. It was just a nozzle strike, I suppose. Maybe because of the time lapse. There's still some areas where as the print head moves off to the side in order to take the frame, trigger the shutter, as it comes back, there's just a little bit extra that it brings back with it, and usually that's fine. But if that little bit extra gets, you know, stuck somewhere on a support and it dries and hardens, when the print head comes back through to put more filament there, it'll contact it and just kind of knock it. So you lose the support, and then that means everything else above that you start to lose as well. I'm not sure, I think the little piece that the support was supporting, oh yeah, it was a tooth. So it was a little piece of the tooth of the jack-o'-lantern started to fail, and so it started extruding into nothing. And so I knew this area was going to be screwed up, and I'm like, you know, you have to make that decision. It's like when your wife's pregnant and then you get that test back that says like it's not going to be so good. You have to make that that's way too far for a 3D printing vlog, Matt. It's like that, but not nearly as severe. Anyway, killed the print on the pumpkin, and I was just running into so many other projects along the way. I was like, I don't have time to go back into this. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be in the pumpkin patch this Halloween. I'm not gonna make it, but we like to pull the failures off and kind of evaluate as much as we can. Editing Matt, do not leave that in there, please, that comment. No, you'll never hear the end of it. So looking at the print thus far, the surface finish looks pretty good. I'm very pleased with how the quality is coming out. So like back here, these little rough pieces, not sure if Mr. Camera's gonna pick that up, but these little rough pieces I attribute to the time-lapse function, not so much any other fundamental issue. Everything else indicates that the flow's okay. A little gappy here. Now, because this was a large print, I did scale down the wall as I normally do, the wall loops and the infill. Obviously, it's like, I think it's like 5% lightening that I put on this thing. Not a lot, and so it could probably benefit from one more top surface layer, but otherwise it's looking really good, really clean. The inside sort of, there's no pulling, I guess, where it, you know, tries to go around a perimeter and the filament doesn't stick and it kind of pulls it, and you see these, you know, straight lines between curves. First layer was a little dicey, had to watch it. I'd really need to go in and put in the surface contacting where the beacon probes the print bed before every print, because I was talking to a few people and they said that my current bed leveling, I'm like, you know, 0.5, 0.6 maybe across the entirety of the bed, that's sufficient. That the rule of thumb among Voron people is like 0.001 millimeters per millimeter of bed surface, which would equate to me needing a range of 0.8 millimeters across the entirety of my bed, which I'm within. So I'm gonna go on that and keep working on trying to get a better level, or at least get it to the point where when I send a print to the Giga, I don't have to watch. I don't have to make sure that the first layer goes down great. I just know that the beacon's taking care of me. And that's the purpose of the beacon, right? You got this souped up eddy current probe. That's what it's for. That's why I have it. So I'm gonna keep working on that. But otherwise, like the Giga, I'm not saying like, yep, brushing my hands off, you know, Giga, all said and done. It's an ongoing process, it always is. But with the printer this big, I think it just comes with the territory. It's not a 256 bamboo machine that's just gonna figure it out. It's just a lot of momentum and moving parts. I just gotta keep an eye on it. But again, the point with the Giga, besides views, is the capability of being able to print very large stuff versus any of these other printers which are kind of capped out. Which kind of leads to one of my second projects. It's pretty early in the morning, it's not late at night. I'm not a night person, I'm a morning person. So one of the projects that I've been working on that is supported by 3D printing are here. You know, if you follow the channel, I like doing little upgrades and stuff around my house. And so here in my driveway, I have these stagecoach lights. You can see here, got one here, here. And you see this one over here as I get closer to it. There we go. So they've got little motion sensors inside of them, and the theory being is as you or someone else walks by, they turn on. But these are kind of old and dated. Original to the house, they're a little, you know, grandma-ish, I guess. And so what I wanted to do is get something more modern, and if you could tell by how bright the light is on my face, I've already got one up. I've got one over here. So this is a vertical light bar, a little more modern, a little more chic, I guess you could say. It gives it a nicer look. The only problem is that if you look up here on the stagecoach light, where it fixes to the house, it's kind of like this oval shape, this kind of oblong sort of thing, and obviously this is stone, so it's kind of difficult to adapt a square peg into an oval shaped stagecoach shaped hole. What I was able to do is actually design and 3D print this sort of custom housing that's made for this hole, for this fixture, that allows me to wire in the electrics and the supporting bracket that came with this fixture. I'm gonna show you how I did it. All right, so editing mat, throw up the Tinkercad over here. Very simple shape. It's a box, just did the measurements of that sort of cutout and made a box and then started just adjusting from there. And that's how most of my designs go. It's a destructive method of design versus additive, I guess, because I really don't use Fusion. I just use Tinkercad and kind of make my adjustments from there. So this is incarnation number one with the bracket sort of way out here. It was far too far. I just did an incorrect measurement. So the new one is just a flat surface that's a little bit deeper. Additionally, making some changes for the central hole, moving it down here so I could get the electrics up inside, because I want to keep them all contained. Now you might be saying, a 3D printed thing, it's never gonna hold up outside. Well, I'm gonna print the final versions in either ABS or ASA, and I'm gonna print them at like 100%. Plus, it doesn't get too much sun, and that eave really keeps water off of it. As I was disassembling the stagecoach light from previously, there's basically no moisture. There's no seal that they put on there. The eave seems to keep any water from getting down in there, and they've been in there for like 13, 14, 15 years or something like that, and it's never been a problem, so I'm not too worried about it. And if these show sign of degradation, it's okay. Furthermore, the hole that the bracket attaches to doesn't attach to the actual housing. It goes all the way through into the wood blocking. So that's kind of holding the housing. The housing's not holding the fixture. So I'm cool with that. One of the big problems that I was like, how do I do this, is the previous stagecoach lights are just in an always on configuration because they have their own integrated motion and photovoltaic sensing system. So if the sun comes up, they won't come on. If someone walks in front of it, they will come on back and forth. So how do I get around that? Well, very easy off-the-shelf solution here. Photovoltaic sensor, about $10 at Lowe's, significantly cheaper on Amazon. I've got some more coming, and I just made myself a little hole here. And so that way I can just put the photocell sensor through the top. It even comes with its own little rubber grommet or rubber ring there to keep that nasty water out. Screw this on the top and the fixture mounts down here. Now I'm gonna test this live here in the next couple days as I get like the final working version. It may be necessary to put like a small lip here as a block, because the light fixture is here, light is coming from this fixture, and if there's a sufficient light bouncing off the rocks or whatever, it will trigger the photovoltaic, and then the light's just going to cycle on and off. So if I put like a little wall here to kind of keep the light from going directly into it, that should address it. I'm not too worried about that. I did testing here in the office and under regular lights. It's not UV sensitive, it's just basic light that triggers it. So that's working out well. This is going to be a great sort of upgrade, and this is like 3D printing really came clutch on this project on this project thus far, because really there was no way for me to adapt that weird shaped hole into something that kind of looks decent, because you just have this big gap in the stone with this slender thing in front of it. It doesn't look right at all. You need something behind it. Black kind of shields the wood, covers up the electrics, does everything. We can do that. We can even paint it. You know, if we do it in ASA or ABS, that would eliminate any of the UV concerns. We might actually just do that. Try to get a paint that comes close to matching the stone, and that would maybe even look even better. So, big win so far on this project. That's not even my big project that I'm currently working. That seems like a big project. That's not even the big project that I'm working on. Let's go take a look at that. And the amount of 3D printing that I've had to do for this project is really off the charts. It's kind of somewhat insane. Here in the sunroom, you can see my walk-in filament dryer down there at the very, very end. As you can see, I got all these curtains lining, it goes the length of the sunroom. These are 8 feet wide by 10 feet tall. And they got a problem. Here's the problem. Whew. So they're all manual, and that's because having motorized screens over a 50-something foot run costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to have that done. If I recall correctly, the quote to do that was in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $6,000 just to do this like one straight shot run. It's 5 banks of sliders at 10 feet wide each. So, you know, roughly $1,000-something per. And, you know, that's white gloved, you know, they come in and put the electric, it might even have been battery. I think maybe that was like one of the things, because I was like, you know, well, saves me the trouble of doing it. But I think it might have been batteries, because I have blackout shades in some of my rooms, and those are battery operated. You have to charge them, and I hate that. I hate having to remember to do that. I was able to find conversion kits, uses a big beefy stepper motor with a bracket that is made for these shades. These are Coolaroo shades. I did mention this last vlog because I said Coolaroo is a cool word. So these shades are gonna take these little stepper motor brackets, and they all run back to this, it's a Arduino pre-programmed. I got a box chased in here, I stole power, and I'm running some conduit. I'm hiding it here in this line set for the mini split. This corner of the sunroom is ugly. It's very utilitarian. It's never gonna be pretty, and so I'm like, you know, just kind of making peace with it, because going through the wall here is technically an exterior wall, so there's blocking, there's all sorts of electrics in there. I'm just not gonna take that risk. So I ran it on the surface, ran it up to the top, and you could see these big bundle of ugly ass wires going all over the top. I'm getting to the 3D print part, shut up. And so in order to hide those wires, let's go up the ladder. And so in order to hide those wires, I put some crown molding. You can't even see the wire. Where'd the wires go? Where'd they go, Matt? I painted some crown molding here, just some regular, this is not even wood or MDF, it's like PVC based. Just put some paint on it to match, you know, some of the darker color of the exterior. And I left the little pigtail here hanging out, so when I go through to install, I've got access there. Had to run ×5 all the way back. Can you get to the 3D printing thing already? Yes. First thing, the most boring thing for over here, doing some just little raceways. I'm not gonna use this because this is way too chunky. But up here where you see the wires come up and start their way over, I'm not gonna run crown molding there. I just need a real basic raceway. I might even get an off-the-shelf raceway, because printing these versus how much raceways cost doesn't really make sense unless you need something hyper specific. That's one of those things where you make the decision like, you know, I could 3D print this, but is it worth it to 3D print it? Probably not. So I might use this, I might use an off-the-shelf thing, but there are some components that I absolutely positively need to 3D print. The main one's the housing for the motor. Let's go in a more well-lit area to do that. All right, so you got your motor here mounted to the wall. Obviously the big roll of screen goes this way. It's 3D is coming at you. So it's on the wall here, but you don't want to look up and see this ugly motor thing with all these like colored wires and stuff. You want to hide it. And so originally, and again, this is kind of the way that I designed, I just kind of take some basic measurements and then print like a part that would go over it. And I'm like, you know, make the adjustments, make my notes and things like that. Try to get closer or further away in this case, ultimately deciding on something like this. So this accounts for the crown molding, and it takes the cover all the way up to the deck. And that way I don't have to do a little conduit from the top down to where the motor is. It just kind of hides everything all in one go, kind of like that. So this is obviously only one side. And then I get there and I'm like, you know, I don't need like 20 millimeters off the bottom. So I just make a crease and then go back through and modify my design from there. So ultimately it will be kind of hidden behind here. Once these are installed, print a bunch of these in a good material, paint them so they just kind of blend into the eye, and then affix them, glue them up there. Maybe put some screw holes or something like that. I prefer mechanical fastening to chemical fastening any day of the week. So gonna be working on that too. Should be a nice result, because manually cranking those things up and down, man, that's a pain. Because you gotta do it 5 times, and it takes a while to do it. It'd be much easier to program it based on time of day, or put say a Raspberry Pi controller of some type in there that can do it based on how warm it gets in the room. So the room has its own mini split, but let's say the room's temperature in the middle of summer goes up to like 80 something degrees. Well, at that point, the system can automatically sense that via a sensor and then lower all the shades. And as it gets back to a cooler temperature, maybe it can raise them or go halfway in between or something like that. It's the possibilities are there. And that's, I'm not sure if something that would be done by one of the off-the-shelf installed solutions, professional solutions, probably. It's just like, look, your boy's got it, but 5-6 grand for roller shades, I'll come to resent it. I don't know if anyone else is like that. Like, yeah, you'll pay for it, but then every time you see it, you kind of hate it a little bit. I imagine a lot of people feel that way about their children. When I see it, I'm gonna be like, ugh, this is great, but it's so expensive. It wasn't worth it. I'd rather have had the 5 grand to do something else. So this is cool. Gives me something to work on, tests my ingenuity, I guess, and while being respectful to keeping things of a good aesthetic. Trying to hide all this all ugly utilitarian functional parts, but maintaining the function. And so for the last thing for today is indeed the season finale of the technical season 1. I didn't even know I was having seasons, but I have decided to take the next few months off to focus on some other projects, but didn't want to leave before addressing some of the comments. I put out a video that came out some weeks ago at this point about how there's no money in 3D printing, the fake stream thing, which a lot of people seem to have enjoyed the fact that it was a fake stream. I really like doing real streams. It's just, there's a compulsion to keep streams like full of content. I don't think most people have that compulsion. I think most people just go live and they just do this. Hey, what's up? Thanks for the fight. You know, I can't do that. I got to keep things moving and grooving. But did that format again, so it was a little less deliberate in my sort of emotional incontinence about there being no money in 3D printing. And a lot of people coming through to say like, well, I make money in 3D printing. And because those videos, like most videos, I just kind of riff and go for it. I don't really script out much beforehand. I'm not really thinking about, you know, maybe is this not the best way to present what you're trying to present? It'd probably be better if I did that. But I probably could have articulated things in a little bit better way. Just kind of the chief overriding point is that it's not going to be worth it for most people. And then there's a good segment of people for whom it is worth it. Several people commenting in the video that they do 3D printing for money, and they seem to spend a substantial amount of time in that process. It's just, you know, when you do the math and it comes down to a very low hourly rate, and sure, you're growing your business and you're going through that hustle period and things like that. But for me personally, it's not something I'm willing to do, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And that's ultimately all I can provide here is what I think about things. And so that's kind of why I put that forth, because continuously I see people trying to get into the 3D print side hustle, and expand it. And I think there's just that ceiling there. Then you're never going to penetrate through unless through a very unique sort of thing. And if you want to focus on anecdotes and, you know, exceptions, that's fine, but I'm more concerned with generalities. Generally speaking, it's not going to happen. There are better ways to make money. Again, not trying to be abrasive or combative or any of those things, although that seems to be a great way to get views and subscriptions and increase engagement, but I can't really keep up with that. I can't be fake angry or anything like that. I'm like, well, who am I? I got nothing to be angry about. So I can't really do that, but I can say like, I just don't think there's any money in 3D printing, because everybody and their mother seems to say like, oh yeah, you can do it too. And it's just kind of like, I see another video come out like, you know, it's always, they're always doing this in the thumbnail, like, sure, you say there's no money in 3D printing. I'm going to show you 10 ways that there are. Number one, and it's always stuff, and it's always stuff like, you know, for the examples they use for the extremely high markup stuff, it's always stuff like, I made 16 billion of these little keychains, and the markup on these is 8,000%. All you gotta do is sell 8 billion of them and you'll be 100 air. And if you want this model, it's available on my Fangs profile. Just subscribe to the link below. I do the same shit, I know. I like to at least think I'm honest about it when I say it. Like, you know, this ain't gonna work, but if you wanna try, use my link. Anyway, I could have presented it a little bit better, but I can't help myself but trying to be, I'm a shithead. But I appreciate all the comments and feedback in that video, no doubt. If opportunities come up for me to sell things for money, then sure, I'm gonna jump on it, because I don't know why everyone's so afraid of being a hypocrite. I don't mind being a hypocrite. I'll change my mind in 10 seconds, or I'll do things I say not to do. It just doesn't bother me. If a heroin addict told you that doing heroin was a bad idea, is he wrong? I mean, he's a hypocrite, but he's not wrong. Probably a better way to like get your point across, Matt. You should probably start scripting things. When Technicals Tinkers returns for season 2, I promise to script more things. Probably not gonna return because you guys don't like and comment enough. That's fine, man, I don't care. Is this my swan song? Is this me just doing whatever I want because I feel like I'm not gonna come back? I don't know, man, whatever. Probably because you don't like and comment. That's fine if you don't care about me. I'm just out here trying to like make your life better and entertain you. It's fine if you don't care. Little Matt over here trying to do his best. That's what's going on in 3D print land for today. Love to know what you think about any or all of these things in the comments below. Be sure to like the video because it's the nice thing to do, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm Technicals.